Hello. Hi there.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me, Christine?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, lovely. I love your lipstick.
Hey, thank you. Oh, I'm going to be right back. Hold on.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay. Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Turn on your videos if you can. Pearl's like, yeah, I'm already here. Everyone is asleep. That's okay.
Sorry.
Hi. Okay. If you can turn on your videos, that would be ideal. I don't know if I told you this last week, but I'm going to tell you guys this week. Um, One of the things that I really, really, really appreciate is when you have your videos on. I know that it's not easy for everyone to do that, but I kind of have this opinion that if I can show up for class and have my video on, that you can too. um, so I know it's not always easy to have your voice on, like Myrna was saying, especially if everyone in her house is sleeping, it's all she can do. But if you can, it would be ideal to be able to have it all working, but at least do what you can. Okay. If you can't use your voice or anything, of course, you can always put everything in the chat box like Myrna is. So let's try to do that every week if possible. You don't have to look amazing to be on camera. Okay. We all love each other for how we are. But I'm going to show up with makeup every time just because that's how I like to be. I'm just going to warn you, I don't go out to my mailbox without makeup on. And so, anyway, this is just me. You'll learn. But I wanted to let you know that that's something that is very important to me if possible. So, um, the other thing is, I know we have a few people who are not going to be able to be here again today. So we have people who are trying to catch up on by the videos and all of that. Um, Still, I'm going to ask everybody to try to get together every week. I know this week wasn't the easiest for everyone to do that. But I want you to give it a good solid try. Okay. I don't know, was anyone here able to meet with someone else? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Good. Okay. Was anyone not able to? Pearl was not able to. Lisa was not able to. Okay. Well, here's what I would like. I was thinking, um, why don't you guys try to connect in the class group? It seemed to work a little better doing it that way, instead of just private messaging one another. I'm not sure why, but maybe just somebody's like, yeah, I need to meet, I can do this. And so try to do that. If you can put it in the chat, hey, can anyone meet with me this time? Or, that sort of thing, that would be awesome. Cool. All right. Well, how about before we get started with everything, let's just focus into the heavenly classroom and kind of see what's going on. If there's anything that the Lord wants to show us, let's kind of tap in there and join in with all of the heavenly beings who are with us. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Okay. Can everyone focus back here? Okay. Is there anything that you'd like to share about what you were getting when we were engaging?
I guess I can share.
Sure.
So when I went into the classroom, it was like really chill and it was really relaxed in there. And then like I saw these little like beings like shooting off like little orbs and stuff. And I was like, well, what is this about? Because I was gonna say, okay, well, this is what I'm seeing. Then I was like, oh wait, let me ask what it is. So I was like, well, what is going on? And it was like these beings were taking flight because it was they were going to like their um I don't know, like their assignments and they were ready to go, so they were leaving the classroom. And then also I got that our healing is happening layer by layer and we're just working through it. And then also that that Yeshua he put covered our minds with the blood, with his blood, and reminded us to protect our mind and our hearts.
Mm,
Um, I guess I want to say for the times that are coming.
yeah.
So just to be protective of like what we're consuming. That was what I got.
Good word. Thank you. Actually, I would like to say something right before just about what you just said. Um, I think I just want, okay, first of all, if you guys don't already know, I fully embrace all the weird. Okay. So if I say stuff and you're like, what? She's crazy, just go test it with the Lord. I don't care. Okay. Um, so, um, but one of the things you were saying about protecting our mind from the things we're consuming and things like that, the mm, Yeshua a long time ago had, first of all, I'll say this. I was invited to go to this business conference, and I won't name who it was because I don't want to badmouth anyone. But I was going to this certain business conference and this big name speaker, and there were thousands of people there. And I asked the Lord if I should go because that's kind of what I do for everything. And he said I should go, but I needed to protect my mind because there were a lot of things that I shouldn't be receiving, but things that I should receive, you know. So okay, and so I was really kind of on guard, if you know what I mean. And I made sure that Yeshua was covering my mind with his blood the whole time. And what was happening is the guy was doing mind control. And he even shared like that's what he had done. And hey, who all had these dreams last night? Because I was doing all this mind control on you. And almost everyone had that. They had the dreams, they were experiencing all of these things, but I didn't. And it was because I had protected my mind. And it was throughout the whole conference, there were things that he would tell us to do. And I would just get this check in my spirit. Nope, this isn't for you. Don't do that. Protect yourself from this. And so I'm saying this because um, I live in the United States. I know that our government does a whole lot of stuff that is shady like this. Okay. I am sure this happens all over the world. But I know personally, just from where I live, that this is a thing. I used to be part of the military, and I was shocked at the stuff that they were doing that was far beyond what they share. And so I will say it is important in these days coming that you do protect your mind from all the things that is not from the Lord, because they are using electromagnetic frequencies and also real mind control programming, which I will talk about in one of our sessions. We're going to go over programming and all of that stuff in order to heal, because it's very important. There's a lot of that going on, and you may or may not have any idea that it's happened to you. So We're going to be talking about that some, but not in this session as much. But I just wanted to say, hey, what you said is really important. And I'm glad you got that word from the Lord. So everybody just have a heads up. That is not to scare anyone because we have the full covering. We don't have to be worried. But we just have to be mindful. Yeah. Okay. Myrna shared on the chat. She said, the Lord gave us wings and we are sitting on a seat that slides and it's oil underneath is sliding on us. And I asked the Lord where we are going. And he replied, to my chamber. And I asked the Lord, what is the wings for? Gave us wings to pick up speed. Underneath us was the pain, hurt, and traumas. That's cool. Thanks, Myrna. Would anyone else like
I
to
think
share? Oh, go ahead, Loretta.
yes, I kind of like saw a picture. um, I don't know. You guys will tell me if you could relate. I kind of like saw a. I was under, or we were under a water fountain, and where the water was going down to, it was like sparkling water. It was all nice, sparkling, and it was a happy place. And when I turned, it's like kids having fun and playing and enjoying. The atmosphere was feeling like joy, happy, and we are enjoying this water fountain. And it's like we are in the water fountain, and also there's like a glimpse of rainbow that we seen then here, and it was a happy place. Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
don't know what it means, but I think I
Well,
saw
I'll
that
tell
picture.
you
Yeah.
what, right outside of the father's house is this big fountain. And I was actually thinking of talking about that today. Um, that's interesting that you said that, but it's a place where we can come and have cleansing. There's all sorts of really cool things, almost like baptism sort of things that happen here. But it is a place of refreshing and it's a place of preparation before you actually go into the Father's house. And so, anyway, I thought that was cool that you experienced that.
For me, guys, doing it together.
What did you say? Say that again. You froze for a second.
Oh, I'm saying, um, when we engage doing it together, it's working for me.
That's awesome.
I'm, 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 I'm growing. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Lorato. Pearl, go ahead.
Pleasure. I think my network is freezing a bit.
Okay, I'm going to share. Before I share what I saw about the classroom, I'd just like to quickly mention what Amanda said about using the blood to protect our minds. I hope I got that right. As we're about to engage the Heavenly Classroom, I engaged with, I had communion, so I can go in just to make sure that I am protected in the spiritual realm. And since our session last week, the Lord has added more information after I asked the question about how do we safeguard ourselves. So, Amanda, thank you for sharing what you saw. Regarding my focusing in the classroom, I saw that the floor of the classroom was is had a covering of the map of the world.
Mm.
And I asked the Lord, what does that mean? I sense him saying that we are actually ministering from above the earth. Um, I saw all of us kind of like looking down because, for example, when you, let's say, walk in on a solid, let's say, platform, and suddenly the foundation of the platform changed to glass, and we kind of like stop and we're looking down because we can see what's beneath our feet. We were like looking down as to what's there. So I didn't get anything else because our time was up.
Okay, well, thanks, Pearl. Okay. Lisa, do you have anything you want to share? Okay. Well, I'm wondering about this week. You guys were all supposed to focus in on a certain part of your healing, right? Or whatever the Lord was bringing to your heart. And how did this go? Anyone have any experiences you'd like to share about it, or questions or anything like that concerning it?
So I met with Lorado and River,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things that the Father had me focus on was um, self-care. And self-care came with a lot of things for me, like procrastination. I don't know why that came with it, but one of the things that really we talked about yesterday was we were talking about oh gosh, we were talking about the body, and it just really hit me hard because I realized that, I've always heard that the body is a temple, but I never really realized the significance of it. It was kind of like I just was like, okay, whatever, the body, and I never honored my body. And that as a child, I actually abused my body intentionally. And it was unintentionally, intentionally that I abused my body, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because I was also like, um, I had a very harsh upbringing. So, my mother, like, she disciplined out of her anger. And so it was, I was in turn abusing myself. Like I was pushing my body, but I was pushing my body to like get bruises or, just crazy things. And so I was abusing my body, and I had to like, I was like, wow, I never realized that. And so, I had to apologize to my body, and I haven't done it yet, but I think I'm still gonna ask if I need to go like to the courts and do anything there, because it was like really major to me. Like I was crying. I was like, oh my gosh, I was so mean to my body, so mean. And so my soul and my spirit, actually really mostly my soul, was had some like my soul and my body were not together. They were like had blaming each other for certain things, and so we weren't one. And that's something that I've been working on for a couple of months now. But man, that was really major for me.
Wow.
And last week my self-care was um doing the exercises that I'm given whenever I go to therapy. And so yesterday when I went to therapy, she did some fascias. I don't know how to say it,
Basha.
but she was doing my back and everything, and I could just feel that energy, and I was just like allowing that energy to go and just expelling it from my body, and it was like amazing. And across from the office, I go next door. I walk through a little breezeway. I go next door. I get my nails done, and then I was waiting for my ride. So they said, well, we won't be there for about 30 minutes. I said, okay. So I walked across like a street. It was like a little driveway, and then some parking lot, and then another little driveway, and there was a little restaurant right there. And I just went over there to wait because it was really cold outside. So I ordered me some green tea, some hot tea, and a biscuit. And I sat there and I was waiting. And my niece said, "Okay, we're almost there." And I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to go outside and wait in the patio because they had a patio outside." So I came out from the patio and I was walking to the car. And my nephew gets out and he goes, "Oh my God." He goes, "You're walking?" And I was like, "What?" He said, he was like, "You're walking?" And I said, "I always walk." And he said, "No," he said, and he always says, "Bro." He's like, "No, bro, you came from across the street." He goes, "How did you get over here?" I said, "I walked." He was just so excited that I was walking because then later on that day, I got up to go make them some dinner and I was walking in the kitchen. He goes, "Oh my gosh, you're walking." He was just excited about it.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, but that was my self-care, was intentionally doing those exercises because the doctor had also told me, "You can come over here and do this session, but it's the in between that counts the most,"
Yeah.
which is my exercises.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna probably see if the Lord wants me to do something in the courts for that. So it
Well,
was a pretty good week.
nice. I love it. Cool. Did anyone else have any experiences this week with their healing when you were pressing in about it?
I wasn't healed. I don't think I'm healed physically as yet, but I started fasting last week and really struggled as I was praying and interceding, as well as just having a conversation with the Lord. He mentioned to me the blood of Jesus. And long story short, he said that I should take communion as often as possible, as and he actually took me to the room where Jesus was given the communion just before he died. I was sitting opposite him, and every time I take communion, I am part of that blessing that he had given. And it wasn't just an auditory thing. It's like I was actually seeing the it's like the blood, which I can't find the right words to describe, but the blood was just more than what we know as the blood. It was alive, and his flesh and his body was just more than. I suppose I was having, the Lord is opening my eyes to see beyond the natural blood and body.
Yeah.
And then he said to me, I can actually use that. Instead of the fasting, which I was really struggling with, he said I should just take communion as often as I can. The other thing he said to me was, I just need to come to bed more often. I just need to always just find myself in bed. I said, like, why, Lord? It's actually bed is for rest. But he's saying, my body really needs rest. It is like parched. And not just my body, but my mind will also be at rest when I am in rest. And as he was sharing that with me, I saw something else. I think Amanda said it last week when we engaged. There was like a pool. If it wasn't her, maybe it was someone else.
It was me.
Oh, was it you?
Mm.
Okay. Um, there was a pool, and I saw myself just sinking into this pool. And I sensed that that was living water. So within the living water, I will also be healed. So I just want to summarize this by saying, I was thinking fasting was the way, but I am so grateful to the Lord that He had another route for me. And it's like it is not as stressful and as hard as the fasting.
Mm.
So my healing will come.
That's awesome. I love it. Mhm. Cool. Anyone else have anything you'd like to share about this last week in your healing?
Yeah, I would like to share. I was engaging with Amanda and Riva, and what we received was, before that, I had a problem with a kidney on the right hand side for a while now, and also nose bleeding since I was a child. But now it's gotten worse. There was a time it stopped while I was in school, but now I'm older, 35. It's bothering me now again. And it will happen randomly. Just a small kick from my son or a slap, my nose will bleed. And we engaged about it, and I received that I have fear and anxiety. And the ladies were saying that the Lord or my spirit is saying fear, is saying anxiety. So it's the things I need to work on. Go to the tracing floor. What is it? I forgot the name. Where you
Floors, maybe?
exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
the trade floor. Yes, that one. And I needed to pray more about it. And what I also got from it later in me afterwards was suppressed emotions. I had a lot of emotions that are suppressed. I was not even aware. I think it was a coping mechanism for a very long time, having a very rough, tough childhood. So I used to have dyslexic. So I grew up with dyslexic, and I didn't know back then that I had it up until I'm older and I could understand and I learned differently from other kids. But I saw it as a blessing at some point because it drew me closer to God, because that's when I started learning to read the Bible, and I could read other things if I could just start with the Bible. So yeah, I realized that I have trapped emotions, and I tried to went deeper into that. I suppress emotions. That's me, and there's a lot of. I grew up with a lot of fear of um, um, rejection. Yeah, but we dealt fear of failure, fear of that my son might also uh, have the same issue where he's struggling with speech. He's 2 years old. We might be having the same problem. So a bit of fear about that. And also I grew up with a lot of fear because I was bullied at school, because I was struggling because of dyslexic. At that time, we didn't even know about it. And I struggled being beaten. And at home, my mom would teach me, and I would not be able to grasp what she's teaching me. And she would just slap me with frustration. And I had a lot of fear as a result. I hated school. Anything that has to do with school, reading, speaking in public, I hated it. I would automatically have fear. If I had to read out loud for people, I would have fear. So the ladies, when they spoke about fear and anxiety, I knew it. I remembered that at the early age, blackout memories where I don't remember some time of my schooling days. I don't even know how did I go through the next grade. And I remember towards the end of it, I took medication and tried to take my life, and I did it. And my family was not aware, I think, for a period of a weekend, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And while I was I took medication and I went to sleep, and they were not aware. Days went by that weekend, and then I think on the last day in that sleep I was in, I thought I was having a dream. I heard my sister. I was staying with my mom and my sister only at the time. My sister told my mom that she's been cooking and I haven't been eating the food she prepared. And for me, it spoke of love when she told my mom that I haven't been eating. So I felt somebody does love me, somebody does care about me. So let me wake up. It's sort of like I had to make a decision whether I want to wake up or not. So if I feel unloved, I would remain in the sleep, because now I had a lot of pain everywhere, school, home, everywhere. So sleeping was a place where I would not feel pain. So I woke up because they spoke about me not eating. And when I woke up, it was time for me to sleep so that I can go eat, and I would eat and sleep, prepared to go to work. That's how I'm into school the following day. That's how I knew that I was out for a whole weekend. So I knew right then and there that I've done something wrong. I don't know at that age, how did I have the knowledge of taking my own life? I don't know if I had passed, the Lord had brought me back or not. I don't know. It's something I would also love to engage about and find out. Maybe, yeah, that's one place that also still needs a lot of healing, because sometimes when I'm overwhelmed with everything, I would sorry guys, I would wanna give in, but because I know I'm a Christian now, I know I can't. That option is not there for me, and I would kind of like have those conversations that I feel like you can take me. It's too much now. It's overwhelming for me. And later on, things will be better, and I will be upset with myself. Why do I go to that place where I want to give in? So, because I'm a Christian, I haven't done any action to take my life, but emotionally, I would want it, but I would not do any action because I know better. I want to see my father. I want to end up in heaven. I love God so much that I want to end up with him, in eternity. So yeah, so I had also fear of that medication that I took, because it was a lot. So my mother would take medication, she would overwork herself, she would work from long shifts. So that's why she didn't even pick up that I've been sleeping, because she would leave me sleeping, come back sleeping. So she would have headaches and stuff. So that medication was piling up in some cupboard. I took all of that medication, put it on the table in a jar with water, and I took all of that medication. So what would frighten me is the amount of the pills. It was a lot, and I wonder where it went. At some time I thought I would not be able to have kids or something because of that medication, because I was wondering where it went. Yeah, that's why I had a child date, like when I'm 23, 33. Yeah, it's one of the things that it's a topic I would avoid. I would have watched. I wouldn't even know how to receive love. I wouldn't know how to. I don't know how. Okay, I'm still learning. I don't know how to love myself. I don't know how to embrace myself. Um, yeah. So, what we spoke about with the ladies was that I have to also go to those times where it was a bit traumatizing, where people would call me names or hit me, and ask Yeshua where he was at the time so that we can heal those memories, like you were teaching on the last session. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I was hoping that we can also engage on that attempt of suicide, so that that place can heal, because it kind of like triggers. Look at me, how I'm melting talking about it.
Yes, I think it's a good thing. Actually, can we all just press in right now over her and let's engage with the Lord about this for her healing, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you. I want to share a couple things that I've been seeing because I think, Lorato, you need to kind of engage with it. So I was being shown that in your chest is where a lot of this is being held, and it's like this fear of rejection and all of that has really kind of caused other fears, like this not wanting to allow people in, and not to fully get attached to people. I could see even with your son that you're afraid of getting too attached. And there's all of this that you need extra help, because what has happened is it's like, I don't know how to explain. It's kind of like what Amanda was talking about with fascia. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like all of this extra. It's like it's kind of like extra connective tissue that forms around muscles or joints or any of that. What it does is it's meant to protect, but it holds all sort of toxicity. Okay. So when you break up the fascia, then the toxins can release. And anyway, but what has happened in your chest is all this extra kind of tissue has formed that is keeping you, it's trying to protect you, but it's actually kind of harming you because it's not letting anything flow like it should. And so, anyway, I was asking Father what to do, and I saw you being brought into, okay, so in there's this part of heaven, and I call it the heavenly hospital. And I think we talked about it last week a bit because Pearl, you saw it or something in the classroom, right? Which I'd never seen in the classroom before. But anyway, the whole point is I saw them laying you out to have surgery. And so they were doing surgery, and this isn't just on your body, it's on like your actual heart, you know, how you feel, emotional heart sort of thing. And so you were kind of allowing yourself to be worked on, and these different angels were around doing the surgery. And I could tell that they seemed like experts in their field. And so you were just allowing yourself to be worked on because that's what Yeshua was leading. And so I want you to kind of engage with it now, to just allow yourself to be worked on and allow that to be removed. Because I could see you didn't know how to remove it yourself.
Yeah.
Is there anything that anyone else got that you'd like to share with her? Yes, Lisa.
When I started seeing light, and the Lord brought to mind Jehovah Ori, the Lord my light. And I just started seeing the light, and just even with the washing. The other thing that I wrote down was I saw something that was kind of burrowed in. You know how like a insect will kind of burrow in and go in deep. So when Christine started talking about the fascia, it made sense to me because it's like the pain and the trauma experiences. Not only did they burrow in, but then it's like the enemy put them on a circuit to
Yep.
keep cycling over and over and over again. And when it keeps cycling, it's like you can't get out. It's like you can't get out. So we also have to ask the Lord to remove you from that circuit and close it down. And then the other thing that I saw was like a portal that may have been opened with darkness because of thinking about, okay, nobody wants me, nobody. So we really want to ask the Lord to close down any portals that were opened as well. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we open up things and it's not intentional, but that's where the enemy
Yeah.
gets us many times. So that was what I got.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do use hurtful things as a coping mechanism. And like when you feel rejected, I was rejected a bit by my father, so it kind of like a norm to expect people to reject me. As I also struggled with accepting the father's love because I would relate to him with the knowledge of father relationship that I have with my father. So it was something I also had to learn, that he's far different from that. He's far different from my experience with my earthly father.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. Portals could have been opened by my mouth.
Yeah.
Yes, we're gonna close them. Whew.
Thank you. Okay, Pearl. Oh, you're muted.
How old is your baby, Loretta?
He's 2 years and couple of days.
Okay.
The boy.
A boy, yes. So what I saw was like, whether it be, I'm not sure with Jesus or Father, but the two are one, or three are one, was holding you and you were breastfeeding. And
Oh,
and,
okay.
and I heard the word colostrum. So I had to quickly look it up. And basically it's the first whatever comes out of the mother's breast for the baby before the milk comes.
Oh, yes, yes.
So the Lord was feeding you with that, because one name for the Lord is that He is the multi-breasted one, which means that whatever you need, He feeds you that. And I just see you as a baby being fed. And even as I'm speaking about it, what I sense is that you lost your childhood and the Lord is giving you back your childhood, but not just from when you can remember when you were young, but even when you were a baby, that connection you've always had with Him. And there were other children around who really loved you. They were coming up and as you were laying against Father's breast, they were just like going like this because they really loved and appreciated you. So it's something to engage with, just resting in that reality of how much the Lord loves you and you have always been loved by Him.
Amen.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
agree with that. I mean, I
Thank you.
saw when I was engaging, a lot of times I feel the father's emotions. And like, so I started crying and I was like, what am I seeing here? And it was like the father was holding you and he was crying over you because of the hurt that you've gone through. But, and he said, oh, this is my baby girl, and he loves you like so much. And, but then after that, he just told me, let Christine talk. So it was like, okay. He didn't give me anything else after that, but just, yeah, I mean, that love right there. Remember, last night we talked about like my little girls and seeing you as
Yes.
a child. And one thing that I did see in the surgery, I don't know if you have ever seen Dr. Pimple Popper. She goes out and she pulls
Yes.
out,
Yeah.
what are they called? Like fatty tissue. And when she's pulling it out, she always makes sure to cut around it so that she gets everything out, because if not, something will grow back in there. Like when she does a cyst, she makes sure that she pulls a sac out. And so I saw like well, not little, but I saw angels when they're doing the surgery. They were cutting those things out and removing them, making sure that they were not going to grow back.
That's awesome. Cool. Thank you.
That's so awesome.
And
Thank you, everyone.
Myrna also said, I saw a tree not healthy and lots of stuff around it, choking it. And I heard the Lord saying, I am the Lord your healer, and I sent my word to heal your disease. I am the Lord your healer. And I saw the fire lighting and taking these bad plants around the tree. So that's cool. Awesome.
Amen.
Well, thank you guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to shift gears a little bit and we'll go into more healing stuff. Okay. There's so much I have been wrestling with teaching about today. When I say wrestling, I do this with the Lord every time. Lord, what am I supposed to do? Show me what I'm supposed to do a million times. And so we'll just see how the Lord leads. I'm going to start with what he was showing me when we were engaging the classroom, because he tends to bring things up that I'm not thinking about when we're engaging the classroom that I need to share. So, remember last week we talked a lot about frequency, right? There is something that is important with frequency and oneness. And this is what the Lord was reminding me when we were engaging the heavenly classroom. I saw all of us and all of the heavenly beings joining together with our power, electrical power. Okay. We were all joining together with our power to be able to bring the healing to the earth. And what the Father was reminding me of was when he started teaching me about the scripture. Okay, so I wonder how many of you guys are like me in this, but when I was younger, I would say when I was younger in the faith, I was also younger, in years, but when I was younger in the faith, I did a lot of believing the Lord for healing by faith. Now, I don't know if this makes sense to you, but I would say there's one scripture that I thought about a lot. And so I, just tried to do. But it said, when someone is sick, bring them before the elders of the church, have them anoint their head with oil and lay hands on them and pray, and they will be healed, right? So, okay, scripture says this, let's do it. That's just how I am. Okay. So it must be true. Let's do it. I don't understand it, but the Lord knows. So I did that a lot, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't, but I was doing it by faith. I believed, and so I did. And the Lord honors that. The Lord really honors this kind of blind faith, if you will. But there was one time, I don't know how long ago. Oh, wow. I'm getting older. Okay. I'm going to say probably like 8 years ago. When the Father just started giving me downloads about how it works and showed me, oh, this is why it's happening. And I'm like, oh, I was just doing it all by faith. I didn't understand. And he showed me that, okay, remember when I talked about frankincense and how frankincense is an anti-inflammatory for the brain, right? It does lots of other things too. It's really good for respiratory stuff and all sorts of things. But what they would do is they would anoint the head with oil, and almost always they would use frankincense. Okay. That was a common oil that was used in the Bible, was frankincense. So they would anoint their head with oil. And then the elders were not just old people. The elders were those who were mature in the faith. That was an important part, okay? They were mature in the faith. They would bring them before the elders and have all of the elders lay hands on them and pray. Now, I want to share something with you that's really interesting. I don't know. Does anyone know who Nancy Kohen is? Have you heard that name before? Yes. Well, she did a really cool study just because she was curious. And one time she did this study, she had someone who had a frequency machine you put your hand on it, tests your frequency. Okay. Anyway, she had someone do this, and she tested what it did when she was not praying. And then when she was praying, and when I say praying, I'm going to say old school praying. Okay. When I say like, dear God, in the name of Jesus, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You understand what I'm saying, right? That kind of praying, and her frequency raised when she started praying. And then she did praying in tongues, and it went even higher when she was praying in tongues. And then she engaged in the heavenly realms, and it was much higher than that. And so it was really interesting that she did this study, because what the Father was showing me is that all of these elders were strong in the faith, and their frequency would raise all together. And when they put their hands on somebody, all of them put their hands on, it's like it supercharged their body to completely heal their body with that raised frequency. Because it wasn't just even one person who was touching with the frequency of heaven. This was all of them together. And so it's kind of like a defibrillator. I'm not saying that I'm terrible. Okay. But you know what I'm saying? When they have to recharge you to get you alive again, your heart, right? And they're like, oh, bam, this is what is happening when the elders would come and lay hands on them and pray. The frequency was already raised because frankincense, but then they supercharged the body to be able to come into a state of healing, which is so cool. And so when the Lord showed me this, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is cool. I was just doing it for years just because you told us to, but it's really cool to see how it works. And so anyway, the Lord was showing me today about how important it is that we partner with those in the heavenly realms, all of the angels and different beings and each other, and we partner together to be able to supercharge basically our frequencies and whoever is needing healing. And so it can be a person, it could be nature, whatever it is that we're doing. But when we gather together and we engage together, it's much more powerful. Okay. And so this little bit is important because of oneness. We need to focus on oneness. And this is going to be, some of you have heard this before, but I just want to tell you, this is a foundational thing that will be helpful in everything else we do going forward. Okay. But when we come together, we need to for sure be focused on oneness with Yeshua. Okay. That's the most important part. And I'll tell you what, I had this time. It was a very powerful time for me. But I was really desperate for my body to be in heaven with my soul and my spirit. And it was something that was just, I just wish I could have all of me be able to be in heaven, but I wasn't looking to die. I was just like hopeful for this, right? And I was engaging, and Yeshua had told me that he wanted this angel to start teaching me. And I was like, okay. And so anyway, this angel's teaching me, and he said, well, this is easy. You just need to be one with Yeshua. And I'm like, I've been trying my whole life to be one with Yeshua. I don't understand, and I'm thinking like, this is much harder than I don't know. I just have been yearning and trying for this forever, but not really understanding. And he just said, here, let me show you. It's this easy. And this, in the moment, was very normal. But afterwards, I started going, oh my goodness, I can't believe I let him do this. But this angel came inside of me and started moving with me. And it's like we moved as one. And whatever my arms did or his arms did, I felt his power inside of me, and we moved as one. And then he just stepped out and wasn't inside of me. But I was just like, and he said, that's all it is. That when you do that with Yeshua, that's all it is. That's how you're one with him. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that is not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, I don't know what I was thinking, but oneness to me was a much bigger concept than just that. And so I'm realizing, okay, now afterwards, I'm kind of like, I just let an angel like come inside of my body. This is weird, because all I'm thinking is like demonic possession sort of stuff, and of course, this was all led by Yeshua. So I knew it wasn't a bad thing. And it was helping me get closer to Yeshua. But anyway, then I started doing this with Yeshua. So it started out with communion, actually. So one of the things that I do almost always is I go to the Father's house to the banqueting table and take communion with Yeshua there. Okay. That's what I do most of the time when I'm taking communion. And when I was there, I'm at the banqueting table and I'm like, okay, Yeshua, let's take communion. And then I saw it's like his arm going inside of my arm to pick up this glass. And then all of a sudden his whole body's inside of my body, or I'm in him. I don't know. But we're one doing this together. And I'm starting to understand how to be one with him. Like it's just this beginning of teaching how to enter into oneness with him and kind of move together, do things together, as if we're one being, right? Even though I'm not saying I'm Yeshua, please don't misunderstand, but it's just the oneness. I'm getting it finally. And so I started practicing that all the time. And I realized I feel his authority. I feel his power. I feel his love. I feel everything he feels when it's like that, which is different because also I feel his sacrifice. Like I feel like I'm taking on people's stuff like he did. There's so much that is very different for how I was functioning before that. But one of the things I learned is when I am ministering to people, if I become one with Yeshua first, then we also become one with that person. And all of a sudden, I can feel what they feel. I can heal with Yeshua's power and authority inside of them. I can go into places that they don't even know they can go. So, for instance, I was just helping a lady this last week who she actually kind of go back into some of the stuff we're talking about with Amanda earlier. But she was having a problem with this certain part of her that had separated within herself. And she couldn't understand how to take control of it. Because what would happen is she would, anytime she would see a woman or something, she would look at the woman's breasts and have lustful kind of thoughts. Now, what's interesting is this isn't her. Like she's recognizing, I don't like women. This isn't me. It's something that's kind of taking over. And so that's why she's needing the healing from it, right? Well, what we found out basically through engaging is that there was this other part that had separated when she was really young. And so she literally couldn't do her own healing because she can't access that part within her conscious mind. Because what's happening is when that part's at the front, she's not able to be at the front. So she can't actually go into that part to heal it. So that's where people like me come in. I can go with Yeshua into that part and to be able to go through the healing of that trauma and all of that stuff that happened to be able to get all of it healed and get her reintegrated. And so that's why the oneness is so important, because you can go into places other people can't. Because what happens in our brain, most of you might know this, but when we go through something really traumatic, our brain shuts that part off to protect us. And so this happens a lot with, if somebody goes through some sort of traumatic motorcycle accident, okay, they go into shock and their brain says, I can't think of it. I don't have memory of this time, all of this. And it's because they're putting it into the unconscious or subconscious part of their mind, so they won't be traumatized over and over again. But what happens is when that happens, you still are injured and it still affects you. And there are things that happen that you won't understand how to heal. So hold on, Lorado's needing back in. Anyway, the point is, learning to come into oneness with Yeshua is the most important, but then being able to open yourself up to become one with other people when you're in him is equally as important, because you will be able to heal others that they won't be able to heal themselves. You know, one of the powerful things we just practiced was over Lorado. When she was struggling with this stuff, she is going, I can't handle it on my own. Can we all engage over it, right? So we all engage together. We all get different parts. We see different things that need healed in different ways. And it's a powerful experience for her. Now, imagine what would happen if we were all physically with her. We're all physically with her. We could all be doing this as we're laying hands on her. And it is way more powerful. This is the importance of actually being in person sometimes. Okay, so many of you know I do these appointments with people all the time, every day, on Zoom. And it's powerful, the healing that people get. But when I'm in person with someone, if I will always say, can I please hold your hand? Can I please touch you? Because what happens is I get way more, and I also can pour out way more just by the electrical frequency that is given. And so there's this connection that we have as humans that's important. And that's also why I tend to travel around the world to different places to be able to actually touch people, because there's something special about it. That's how I know Lorato. I met her in South Africa when she was dragged along to see me one time. But, you know, it's important that we get that hands-on kind of engagement with people. And so if you feel like you're really isolated, make sure that you let the Lord lead you to where you can be around people for real, for real. Okay? But this oneness is really important, and it's something that I want everyone this week to practice. Is this oneness. I want you to practice oneness with Yeshua first. That's the most important. If this is something that you're like, oh, that's old hat, I've done this a million times, then just practice oneness with other people in Yeshua. Okay. But after you really practice the oneness with Yeshua and moving with him, in him, like I said, start with communion. It's a great place to start it, because you're taking him into you, right? It's his body and blood. You're literally taking him into you, and it's a great place to start. But focus on that. Focus on the oneness. What has happened to me? I've noticed in my engaging times, when I first started engaging in heaven, I would ask Yeshua to take my hand somewhere, and he would lead me and take me places and whatever. And I would often see myself going with him. I don't know if this makes sense. Has anyone had this experience? Yes, that it's kind of like that. Okay. Well, then I started working on the oneness with Yeshua. And at the same time as working on the oneness with Yeshua, I was also working on the oneness within myself. So just like Amanda was talking about working on her spirit, soul, and body being connected. Wasn't that you, Amanda? I was thinking, yeah. I needed that desperately too. And what I started seeing eventually was now Yeshua and I were together, and I wasn't seeing stuff from third person. I wasn't watching it happen. I wasn't watching myself, and I wasn't watching Yeshua. I was watching it from first person. So now I'm seeing, like I'm looking at you now. I'm not seeing myself. I'm seeing you, because I'm watching from first person. And so I started seeing everything in the heavenly realms from first person. So I was with and in Yeshua. Now that's how it is every time. I'm in him all the time. I hardly see him work unless I'm ministering to someone and he's wanting me to see what he's doing to them. You know what I mean? Like he's pouring oil on them or something like that. Then I might see him in that way. But most of the time, we're one doing everything together. So it's like we're pouring oil on them or whatever. So it's totally different. And so anyway, the point is the more we get into oneness with him, we move, we live, we breathe, we do everything in him. And then it isn't like we have to know what to do. We do what we already are shown that we should be doing. So for instance, when a lot of times when people would come up to me before I was doing all of this, okay, I used to be one of those people that people would come up to after, like during a church service, and I'd be standing on the side for prayer. So people would come up to me for prayer, right? And so I would always listen to whatever they needed. And then I'd usually take their hand and start praying over them, whatever they needed. Oh, I need healing for my nose. Okay, Lord, we know that you can heal anything. Please heal her nose in the name of Jesus, whatever. And this is typical, right? And so I would do that, and I would do it a lot. And once I started engaging in the heavenly realms and being one with Yeshua, I learned I only do what I see him doing. So I don't just pray over whatever everyone's asking for. If they say, my nose needs healed, I will go, okay, let's focus in on your nose. And so I just focus in, and my intention is on the nose. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to see what Yeshua is showing us. So what am I being shown about the nose? Oh, it's really not the nose at all. It's some forgiveness problem. I don't know, but it's like he shows what needs to happen. And sometimes it is literally touching the nose and healing it. And other times it's some different issue that needs to happen to get to the root of what needs to be healed. And sometimes it's like, I'm not even supposed to be focusing on that. The Lord is saying, you actually have this that needs to be focused on. This happens quite often too, where I have to say, I know that you're seeking your nose, but the Lord is saying your liver, or whatever. And so we just have to do what we see the Lord doing. Okay, if you think about this, that's what Yeshua said he did. He only did what he saw the Father doing, right? If he only does what he sees the Father doing, why are we going with our own will and seeking our own will? It is the complete opposite of everything he taught us. Your will, not mine, be done. Right? We always say, your will on earth as it is in heaven. Well, let's see what's going on in heaven so we can bring it to the earth. That's the whole point, right? We don't need to say, in heaven as our will is on earth. That's what we've been seeking for all these years. And we didn't even realize it, but we keep seeking our own will for that to be done in heaven. But we want to see really on heaven to be done on earth. And so we need to change our focus to be able to see what he sees, to do what he does, and to partner in that way. I'll tell you what. When I was praying the old way, I would see the Father heal things sometimes. He did. He healed. But then there were a lot of times he didn't heal. And I would be very like, maybe I didn't pray hard enough. Maybe I didn't have enough faith. Maybe they didn't have enough faith. I mean, you go into all these things about what's wrong with us that he didn't heal. Because we've been told, hey, his blood has healed it all. So his will is to heal everything, even though actually his will is not to heal everything in the moment that you want it healed. Okay. And there are times when the Father has said, not now. We're going to focus on this other thing. Even think about Lazarus. Yeshua was asked and he said, not now. No, I'm not going now. And it got way worse until he did something even better. And this is what we have to pay attention to, is what is the Lord saying to do? Because now every time I pray for somebody and I watch what the Lord's doing and then do what he's doing, every single time they get healed. There's never been a time that the Lord has said, lay hands on her and she needs healing for this back problem. If he tells me to lay hands on her and she needs healing for this back problem, 100% of the time that back problem is healed. There has never been a time that he has shown me what to do and it's not worked. But every time I go with my own will, that's a different story. And so I think that we need to kind of grow up a bit and mature and start realizing, yeah, we're going to run the Father's business like he wants us to run it, not because we have our own ideas of what will work. Right? So anyway, I guess that's the whole point this week. It's about oneness, and it's about paying attention to the Father's will. And it's about really going from that place. So that's one of the reasons last week, if you remember, you had your list, right? You guys remember you made your list of all these things that you needed healing with? And what was the first thing I said to you? Now focus in and ask the Father if there's something that he wants to highlight, that he wants to work on first. Because that's the key. It's not just what you want. You might think your screaming issue is your nose when it's really the forgiveness of your mom. Okay. And so you need to make sure that whatever it is that you are needing healing from, that the Father is highlighting it. And if he's not highlighting anything, ask him what you should focus on. Maybe he's saying, you need to go lay in your bed and you need to rest. Right? And I'll bet that wouldn't have been on your list. It's so amazing when we pay attention to what he's leading us to do, because it's going to look way different probably than what we think. You might be seeking, oh, my marriage is falling apart. I need healing in my marriage. And the Lord is saying, go soak your feet, you know, and you have to go, okay, whatever you say, I don't think this is as important, Lord. And he's like, go soak your feet. And so you need to just pay attention, just like what Amanda was saying. He was having her focus on self-care, because somehow that is going to bring her into her next phase of healing. This whole onion bit that you were talking about, how we're getting healed in layers, is absolutely true. Because there's so much of us that is out of line, that he wants to get one thing healed and then another thing healed so we can go deeper into the harder things. So I want you to take your list again this week. Ask for the highlight. Ask if there's anything that's not on the list that should be. Maybe the rest thing or something like that, you know. Ask if there's something that needs to be on the list that isn't, and what you need to focus on. But for sure, you can focus on oneness. He will not be disappointed if you focus on oneness. I know that for sure. One of the most awesome prayers that Yeshua prayed was that we would be one with each other like he is one with the Father. And I think, you know, the reason, okay, you may not know this, but I am not a, I'll be honest, and I hope you don't judge me for it, but I'm not a believer in the Trinity. Okay. I absolutely believe that there's a Father, there's a Son, and Holy Spirit. Yes. Okay. I believe that the Father is not the Son. That's kind of how I am. Okay. So do I believe that Yeshua is the only way to the Father? 100% I do. I believe that Holy Spirit was sent by Yeshua to the earth so that we could have oneness and all of that. Yes. But when he talked about being one with the Father, he wasn't saying he is the Father. He was saying he is joining into oneness with his will to do his will on the earth. And that is exactly what he did. You can see it in the Garden of Gethsemane when he went Please, Lord, this is what I want, but your will, not mine, be done. There was a clear separation, but this time when he came into oneness and he said, nope, I'm going to enter into what you want. I'm going to do whatever you want. I'm coming into you. And the only way the Father can show his power is if we yield ourselves to being one with him, just like that. He was the best example for us. That's why he's the King of Kings. It's because he was the best example for us to come into oneness with our Father. And so come into oneness with Yeshua, come into oneness with each other, come into oneness with Father, and do it as you're led. It might look completely different than my experience. And I'm excited to hear what it will be like, because we all will have very different experiences, and we'll have to kind of give over our will to his to make it happen. Myrna said, and when they said, let us make man as our image. Yes. Well, I won't go into all that. I could answer all these questions because I love the Hebrew. I don't know if you know that, but I love the Hebrew and what it says and what it means. We'll do that at another time. But it's so amazing when we enter into oneness, we can do all the things that Yeshua did. Remember, he said that you will do all of these things and greater. If we can do all that the King of Kings did and greater, the only way we can do that is with oneness with our Father. Really. Because he got out of the way, his will out of the way to only do Father's will. And that's what we want to do. So let's focus in on oneness and what that means for our healing. You can take your list, focus on that, see if there's anything he's leading you to do. But the most important thing is entering into oneness. Ask if you need oneness within yourself. You know, that part where your body and your soul is your mind, will, and emotions. Your spirit is that which was created before you came to the earth. Okay, so your spirit, your soul, and your body all need to come in alignment with one another, and not have your body fighting your soul and your soul fighting your spirit and all of that. We need to be in oneness, which can take years. I'll just tell you that. I know from personal experience. I'm still having that healing process happen within myself. But we have to be able to yield ourselves to be able to make that happen and go through the healing and go through the wounding. And I love what Amanda said about how she apologized to her body. I don't know how many times I've had to do that. I mean, boy, I've done so much to my body, cursed my body, tattooed my body. Goodness, I've done all sorts of weird, crazy stuff to my body. And so, you know, what did you say, Myrna?
Where is your tattoo?
Hey, now, isn't that my personal? Okay.
Now you got me interested. I thought, I never thought.
I do have a tattoo. I was pressured into it by my sister. Okay. Quick story. Okay. This is off subject, but so my whole life, my dad has been completely against tattoos, very against tattoos. And my little sister, Kim, some of you know her, she was always the rebellious one. Okay. I was the goody two shoes, always do whatever I was told. Okay. And one of the things about us is my dad was the last boy in our family line, and he never had boys. He only had us girls. So when we got married, our name was not going to exist anymore, our last name. And my sister called me up one time. She was in Hawaii in college, and she called me up and said, Christine, I know how we can keep our last names. And I'm like, how? And she's like, well, let's get matching tattoos that say family name and Allen down the center, which is my last name or my maiden name. And I'm like, Kim, who do you think you're talking to? I'm not getting a tattoo. And she's like, come on, this would be amazing. And I'm like, Kim, you know that dad is totally against tattoos. And she goes, you're an adult. You can make your own decisions. And I'm like, no, I will always obey and respect my father. I don't care how old I am, but she also wasn't like walking with the Lord at that point, so she didn't understand that whole thing. And so anyway, and she said, if I can get dad to agree to it, will you do it? And I'm like, sure. Well, my dad had already told her before, if you ever get a tattoo, I'm writing you out of the will. And so it was a big deal to him to not get a tattoo. So I knew he would never agree to that until Kim talked to him and gave him this whole sob story of, oh, we're honoring you and your name and all of, and he agreed. And so I am a woman of my word. And so I did it with her at the same time. And it was actually a really horrible experience. I know that there are other people who get a million tattoos, but when I got this tattoo, I didn't know, but the place that she chose was this lower back area, happened to be where I had all of this nerve damage from a back problem. So when I got this tattoo, it was the most painful thing I'd ever been through. And I passed out in the middle of it. It was terrible. After that, years later, I even had to have surgery on that exact spot, and they had to cut straight through the middle of the tattoo and put it back together. But anyway, crazy. I have a tattoo. I regret the tattoo, but I did. Anyway, I had to apologize to my body a lot for that one because I was hurting it in a big way. So there you go. There's the story of my weird tattoo. Lower back, tramp stamp. Okay. It's terrible. I'm not proud of that. Anyway. All right, you guys. Any questions about anything that we've been talking about? Lisa, go ahead.
I purchased some of the oil that you had mentioned last week, chrysanthemum, but I'm not sure where to apply it. Apply it on my face, on my hands, on my body. Where do I apply it?
Did you mean helichrysum, maybe?
That's it.
Okay. Because I was like, I'm pretty sure I didn't say chrysanthemum.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. So this is an interesting one because it can be used for so many different things.
Okay.
It's really good for allergies. It's really good for pain. If you're just doing it to raise your frequency, I would put it on your heart. It's the good one right there. Go ahead.
The thing the Lord told me to focus on was inflammation.
It's great for that.
I didn't know if it had anything to do with that as well. So
it does. Yeah. So it's wonderful for especially nerve pain. Do you have nerve pain? No? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that's good. It's good for inflammation in general, but especially with nerve pain, it's a good one for that. Helichrysum. Here, I'll write it in the chat.
And then you had mentioned today that frankincense was good for inflammation of the brain. And I was like, well, do you put it on your head? Do you take it? How do you
Yeah. That one you put on the crown of your head. So like right on the top. That's what you do with frankincense, or you can just breathe it in. So any of these things are really good if you breathe it in. Okay. So if you have a diffuser if you have a diffuser, add it to the diffuser. It's awesome for that. That's probably the best way is to do it that way. Because it gets in your whole system that way. But if you're going to use it topically, then actually frankincense, helichrysum, rose, we talked about all of those. They're all oils that you can do neat, which means like without a carrier oil. So you can put it directly on your skin. You can do any of those. It's very gentle. So yeah. But frankincense on the crown of your head, rose and helichrysum go on your heart, like right over your heart. That's the best place to do it. But if you're needing it throughout your whole system, for sure, do the diffuser or put it on the bottoms of your feet. If you do it on the bottom of your feet, it's right where your lymphatic system, it'll just go into your whole body that way. And so that's kind of an easy one to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, any other questions? feel like Myrna's typing maybe. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. Okay. Earl has no questions. I'm shocked. She always has a million questions. Okay.
I'll ask another one.
Okay,
And
go ahead.
not tomorrow, but next week is the last one for this month. Is that correct?
I have to look at the calendar, but I think so. Um, let's look. Yes, next week is the 26th, the last one of January. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So, yeah, I'll just say this week, I want you to focus on the oneness and also really try to meet with somebody else. Okay. So if you weren't able to this week, for sure, try again. Try to maybe the best thing to do is to put it out early in the week and arrange something. Otherwise, you're left the last day going, I still haven't met with anyone. Please, can anyone meet? And it's kind of hard for people sometimes. So if you can try, like maybe right after class, hey, does anyone want to meet up this week? And then you can arrange. That'd be a good thing.
Do we put it on WhatsApp?
Yeah, you can do it on the group that we have on WhatsApp. Yeah. Okay.
I can talk now.
Yay. It does look like
my husband wake up. He's outside. So it's okay. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So just put it on our WhatsApp group. Okay.
Mm.
Cool. All right. Well, we have some other people in the class who, even though they weren't here today, they still could meet during the week probably. And so just make sure you put it out there because we have like Renelle and River and gosh, I can't Fair and I don't remember who else, but
Nydia.
Yeah, Nydia, all of them who still want to participate. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, I love you guys. If you need anything, give me a buzz. All right.
Well, thank you.
Okay. Bye, ladies.
Love you. Bye.